My blood turned to ice when my wife's father leaned back at the head of his cathedral-length table and said it. Street garbage in a borrowed suit. Conversation died mid-sip. 23 of Connecticut's finest froze. Senators, hedge fund royalty, oil barons, every one of them suddenly fascinated by the spectacle of a man being sized up and thrown away. Richard Whitmore's eyes, billionaire cold, held mine. He expected me to wilt. Instead, I smiled. Empires fall with a whisper. I stood slowly, heart pounding, chair legs whispering against polished mahogany. I could feel Clara's gaze at the far end, my wife seated away from me like I was a contagion that might chip the china. I lifted my napkin, laid it beside the immaculate bone china, and left without a word. Outside, the Whitmore estate glowed like a museum of arrogance spread across 23 acres. Crystal light spilled from high windows. The circular drive curled around a fountain so self-important it should have had a title plaque. My Lexus, humble among Bentleys, waited like a loyal dog. Wait, please. Heels on stone. Clara. Her voice shook with the sound of someone apologizing for sins she didn't commit but had allowed to happen. Mascara ran in charcoal rivers. The expensive dress looked like a costume from a life she had just realized wasn't hers. He didn't mean it. He was showing off. He drinks. Clara, I said her name like a period. He looked me in the eye, in front of 23 people, and called me street garbage in a borrowed suit. She flinched, not at the words, but at hearing them out loud. Truth has weight when spoken. This wasn't the first cut, I said softly, wiping her tears with my thumb. Just the first one he swung in public. She nodded, small against me. I love you, she whispered. It sounded like a prayer pieced together from apology. I know, I said. And I love you. But love doesn't replace respect. And respect has a cost. I kissed her forehead and opened my car door. I'll call tomorrow. On the highway toward Manhattan, the anger cooled into clarity. I pulled into a fluorescent rest stop, kingdom of raccoons and bad coffee, and called Marcus Rivera. My right hand, since Crosspoint Innovations, was 2 desks and a coffee maker that smelled like regret. Boss, you left 3 voicemails of breathing and classical music. The deal's off, I said. Whitmore Holdings. The merger. All of it. Silence. Then a dull thud and Spanish swearing. You're nuking a $2 billion merger over what pride? Over dignity, I said. Over a man who looked at his daughter's husband and saw something to scrape off his Italian leather. Marcus paced in my ear. I could picture him, bare feet, hardwood, spreadsheets open, duty-fighting loyalty. We've got penalty clauses, shareholders, employees. You told me once, I said. Respect isn't bought or negotiated. You earn it, or you demand the cost of withholding it. He sighed. Fine. I'll draft termination language, professional, surgical. You sure? Leak it, I added. Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. Keep it clean. Irreconcilable differences in corporate culture and leadership philosophy. That's what you say when you mean the CEOs are raging. It's what I say when I want the market to do the math. Back in my penthouse, 43 floors above the city that tried to grind me down, I poured 3 fingers of good whiskey and stared at the dark hole of Central Park. Memory rose in waves. Food bank lines with my mother, the smell of solvent on her dry cleaning uniform, learning calculus from library books, community college on 3 jobs and 4 hours of sleep, starting Crosspoint with 12 grand and a willingness to bleed. Hunger, it turns out, is a superpower. My phone rang at 7:30 a.m. exact. Good morning, Margaret, I said after 4 rings. Richard's wife spoke like someone who'd rehearsed all night. Can we pretend last night was a misunderstanding? Which part? I asked. The insult or the audience? He'd had too much wine, she tried. When he's impressing investors, wine doesn't invent contempt, Margaret. It just loosens its tongue. Silence stretched. She was smart enough to know what this would cost them. What can we do to fix it? She asked at last. Before I could answer, another call buzzed in. Evelyn, Clara's sister, the family heretic who'd chosen love and work over lineage. He called you garbage, didn't he? She said without hello. I'm sorry. Also, you didn't hear it from me, but Whitmore Holdings has been hemorrhaging cash for 18 months. Bad bets, board stupidity. Your merger was their life raft. Dots connected themselves. I clicked back to Margaret. You were asking about repair. Yes, an apology, compensation. Desperation stripped her voice of its polish. In how many decades of marriage have you seen Richard apologize because he was wrong? I asked. Not to make a problem go away, to make a wrong right. Silence again. The true kind. I want my daughter to be happy, she said finally. Clara loves you. She doesn't deserve this crossfire. You're right, I said. She doesn't. Marcus called next, voice vibrating with controlled glee. Bloomberg hit at 6:15. Journal followed. Whitmore's stock is down 12% and dropping. Emergency board meeting at 2. Their CFO used the word panic. 3 times. Fairmont Dynamics? I asked. Already sniffing around, Marcus said. They like our independence. They like your spine. Set a meeting for tomorrow, I said, and let Whitmore's board know we're taking calls. By afternoon, the elevator dinged, and Danielle, my assistant, expert in both calendar triage and crisis tea, stuck her head in. Your father-in-law is downstairs. Security wants guidance. Throw him out or let him sweat. Let him sweat 30 minutes, I said. Then send him up. Make sure he knows he's being granted an audience. When he finally entered, the man who had sat in judgment at his mile-long table looked suddenly human. Creased suit, hair finger-combed instead of shellacked, a panic he didn't know how to disguise. Thank you for seeing me, he said, and even the timbre of his voice seemed smaller. I didn't stand. Richard, you look like someone who's had an interesting morning. I want to apologize, he began. No, I said gently. You want to stop the bleeding. There's a difference. His jaw twitched. Old arrogance tried to surface, then drowned under newer fear. I had too much to drink, he tried. Stress, investors. Drunk words are sober truths, I said. I've watched you drink and never call anyone else garbage. He flinched. Then, what do you want? I walked to the window. The city glimmered like something earned, not inherited. For 3 years, I said, I tried to earn from you what you don't have to give. Respect. I thought success would translate. I thought loving your daughter would count. I turned back. It doesn't, so here we are. You, asking me to save a company you inherited. Me, the street garbage who built his declining. The merger, he said. Dead, I said simply. Killed by 12 words you couldn't resist. His face went gray. You've made other deals? Let's say partners who understand partnership are interested. He stared at his hands. The first time I'd seen them without a cigar. A pen, a checkbook, empty. Tell Clara, he said finally, voice hoarse, that I'll tell Clara what I witnessed, I said, and what I chose. When he left, the room felt wider. Danielle slipped in, eyebrows arched. That was calm, impressive, slightly terrifying. Why not both? I said. An hour later, Clara sat in the same chair her father had occupied. Jeans, sweater, hair pulled back, eyes red-rimmed. Danielle had placed tea and tissues like runway lights. How did it go? She asked. Her voice was empty of performance, full of truth. About as expected, I said. He came to negotiate regret. She nodded. I talked to Mom and Evelyn and 6 board members who somehow found my personal number. A humorless laugh. Funny how popular I got in a crisis. Do you have influence? I asked. That's why I'm here, she said, then took a breath that seemed to bridge one life and the next. First, I need to say what I should have said years ago. I waited. Sometimes the most important moments are made of quiet. I've been ashamed, she said. Not of you, of me. For letting him treat you like that. For making excuses. For pretending I could manage a bully into being a better man. She stood and walked to the window, mirroring my stance earlier. I grew up watching money fix things. Donations, lawyers, PR. I believed you could buy your way out of any mess, but you can't buy respect, or decency, or undo the harm of calling someone you love garbage. She turned back and placed a single sheet on my desk. A resignation letter, effective immediately, from the board of Whitmore Holdings. I quit, she said. I don't want his name. I don't want his shadow. I want a life that's ours. "What do you want to build?" I asked. She smiled, real, unarmored. "Something that stands because we built it, not because someone else did." We reached across the desk and found each other's hands. The city hummed beneath us. Somewhere in Palm Beach, a future version of her father would be learning how expensive a lifestyle is without a company card. That was tomorrow's problem. Today we chose. The financial press did what the financial press does. They connected dots with gusto. Whitmore's stock slid. Emergency statements were issued. Culture fit became the euphemism of the week. The board moved fast when the market spoke faster. An interim CEO. Then a permanent one. Elizabeth Chun, who cared more about people than fear and more about execution than ego. Crosspoint met Fairmont. Terms aligned. We moved. 6 months later, the ocean threw light back at us like confetti. We stood barefoot on warm sand with a justice of the peace who doubled as a surf instructor, 20 people who actually loved us, and vows that finally sounded like us. No chandeliers. No bone china. No curated guest list to impress legacy money. "You clean up pretty well for street garbage," Clara said, straightening my tie. "You're not bad for someone who walked away from a trust fund that could buy a small country," I said. She had traded couture for sundresses and gemstone fireworks for a simple gold ring. The bigger transformation was on the inside, the steadiness that comes from earning your place. 3 months earlier, she'd joined Crosspoint as Director of Strategic Development. Turns out growing up inside corporate dysfunction gives you a sixth sense for spotting it elsewhere. She was frighteningly good at it. "Any word from your father?" I asked, because ghosts lose power when you name them. "Mom says he's in Palm Beach," she said. "A condo community for distinguished gentlemen of a certain age. Air quotes included. He's consulting on family succession." She shrugged. Clients are thin. I pictured it. A man who mistook fear for respect offering advice on legacy. Irony wearing a name tag. "Do you miss it?" I asked. "The security. The never check the balance life." She considered, as she always does. "I miss the illusion of safety," she said. "But I have something better, proof I can stand. That we can build. That love backed by respect can outlast a surname." We watched the horizon make a ruler-straight promise between sky and sea. The ocean kept its rhythm. Our pulses matched it. "You know the funny thing?" she said. "My father worshipped legacy. He wanted the Whitmore name to outlive him. He'll be remembered, but not the way he imagined. As a cautionary tale about confusing wealth with worth." I thought of that dining room, the museum of money, the oil portraits of grim Whitmores, the exacting place settings waiting to judge how you held your fork. I thought of 12 words tossed with casual cruelty that cost a man everything he thought couldn't be touched. "Empires fall with a whisper," I said. "Were you the whisper?" she asked. I watched the sun sink and the beach thin to just us, a few surfers, and the gulls heckling eternity. "I was the whisper of truth," I said. "That respect can't be purchased. That power you build beats power you inherit. That the people you step on might be the ones who know how to pull the right brick." She leaned into me. "I love you. I love you too." Somewhere in a Florida condo with good views and bad acoustics, a man wondered how 12 words detonated a lifetime. That's his story to untangle. Ours is simpler. We chose dignity over deference, partnership over pedigree, building over begging. The ocean kept breathing. We did too. And for the first time since that night at the Whitmore estate, everything felt exactly, quietly, right. Thanks for watching.